Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Couple of bits of housekeeping. It is recorded, and for those of you that are joining us this morning, you will have access to the recording via Teams, and for our Athena Director partners, we will be popping a copy of the recording in our support site. So if you want to share it with colleagues, you'd be very welcome to. If you have any questions for our esteemed panel, please use the chat box, and there'll probably be time at the end to go through questions. But feel free to pop them in as they kind of come to mind. We'll just kind of ignore them until the end, but please feel free to pop them in. So this morning I am joined by experts Jerry King and Kate Walker from Much Loved, and both Kate and Jerry have over 40 years of web development experience between them. So you are in safe hands this morning. And it's going to be a fantastic session in which Kate and Jerry will be sharing valuable insights on what truly works to attract visitors to your website, with the chance to ask your questions at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Jerry.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate that a lot of funeral directors do take an interest in these digital matters and website performance and how to get more out of their website. And as we all know, there are a lot of myths and mistruths floating around. So we try to discount those, but we would be happy to take any comments at the end and for you to share your experience as far as these matters are concerned. But we're primarily focused with Google. So Google are by far and away the most popular search engine in the UK, and Google really do provide some great advice and support to people who are looking to improve the performance of their website. So most of what we talk about is based on that kind of factual information, some of the myths that fly around. We have 5 tips that we want to share with you regarding ways that you can drive traffic to your website and get a better return on investment from your website. First of all, we're going to look at social media engagement. Most of these things that we talk about, you've heard about before. That we're not reinventing the wheel. Social media has been around for a while now, and there's no doubt that you can really drive traffic to your website. Quite often, if you do a search in Google, it will be a Facebook post that shows up in the search results. So you're not only engaging with people directly in Facebook and the community that you've built in Facebook, but you're also increasing your chances of being found in search. As far as social media is concerned, it's a case of sharing information regularly, talking to your community, building up followers, talk about share testimonials, talk about community events that you might be running, and probably more powerful than anything else, something that's a lot of funeral directors do these days is share funeral notices on your website, on your Facebook page. And that can be a really good way of driving traffic to your website. If you share a funeral notice that's been set up with Much Loved and click through, there's an opportunity for people to click through from that Facebook post onto your website, and then that is the way that social media is supposed to work for your business. Social media should be driving traffic to your website as opposed to the way around. We don't want people leaving your website to go on your Facebook page. The opposite is what we want. We want people coming from your social media posts through to your website. And it's always good to engage with people who make comments on your Facebook page and anything that you post on Facebook. If anybody likes it or comments on your post, then please do respond to that. The next thing we want to look at is content marketing. This is a huge field, and you may or may not have heard about it, but it generally covers any content that you create, whether that be on your website or on other platforms. You can share, you can create all kinds of content, and you are an authority on everything surrounding funerals. And if you create informative and compassionate information, whether that be about grief support or about the latest developments in the funeral industry, the standardized price list is something that can potentially confuse a lot of people. There's potential for you to not only put the standardized price list on your website, but perhaps give a little bit more information around it and what exactly it is. And, it could potentially be a blog post on your website, which would be search engine friendly content. And that really is what content marketing is about. It's about creating content that responds to what people are searching for. So if someone is doing a Google search, if they're confused about a standardized price list and they do a Google search for what is the standardized price list, and you've created some content to explain that, then you have a good chance of being found and appreciated for creating that content. And there's also many useful resources that would come under the content marketing banner that you can provide, such as we found funeral directors who had a lot of success with writing about options for funeral hymns or funeral music, or how to write an obituary. Blog posts or content on your website, whether that be a static page or a blog post, is all potentially, it all comes under the banner of content marketing, is potentially going to drive traffic to your website, and maybe in a not so obvious way that you would have thought of. Funeral notices come firmly under the banner of content marketing. And funeral notices, really, it's ready-made information and content that you can put on your website. And we have found that funeral notices almost always, if they're not the second most visited page on a funeral director's website, quite often they're the most visited page or above the home page. So funeral notices are a really powerful form of content marketing that really responds to what people are interested in regarding what you do. The next thing we would like to look at is your Google profile. The Google profile, your Google business page. Google quite regularly changed the name of this. Currently, it used to be your Google My Business page or your Google Business page. It's now known as your Google profile, and you'll recognize it from the graphic we've got here alongside a search for a funeral director. This is one of our clients, Jerram's Brothers, who are based in Oxfordshire. And your Google profile, it's a fantastic free resource that Google provides to any business with a location, any local business, or local or national. But if you have an address and a location, then you can take advantage of your Google profile. And you can really, there's a lot you can do with your Google profile. You can add images, you can make posts on there and add content, and really more powerful than anything else is probably you can encourage people to leave reviews on your Google profile. So when people do a search long before they arrive on your website, in your Google profile, people will see how many reviews you've got and the quality of those reviews. And there's no doubt that this is a major factor these days in the buying process. People do look at reviews, and they look at Google reviews, and they take these things seriously. So if you have some kind of system within your business whereby following helping a family, whether that be in an email, part of an email that goes out after the funeral, or a conversation. We have funeral directors who do this and ask for Google reviews, and build up a lot of reviews, which is it's really a powerful asset that you can take advantage of. So yeah, your Google profile, it's a great free resource that you can use, and of course it's part and parcel of the Google Maps. Our client RW Barrett here, shown in Newcastle, they're very proactive in asking for reviews, and you can see we've got highlighted there that they've actually got 342 Google reviews, 5-star. Now that hasn't just happened by accident. They've been proactive, and you know, families are happy to do so as well. You know, if you provided families with a great service, then they're happy to help you and leave a review for your business. Next, we would like to take a look at search engine optimization, or SEO as it's known. And we know that a lot of fuel directors, they're approached regularly by companies wanting to sell SEO services. We take the view that SEO, or search engine optimization, is not as complicated as some people would like you to believe. As you can see, we've got highlighted a keyword. So it's keyword is a technical SEO term, but it's a technical term for something which is quite straightforward, and it's something that we all do on a regular basis as we enter keywords into the Google search bar. Another term for that would be a search term, and the resulting page is what is where the power of having keywords on your website can help you. So, you know, as we previously talked about with content marketing, if you write good quality content and it talks about the kind of things that people are looking for, first and foremost, you want to be found in a search term for funeral director in your area, but also there are multiple other terms that you can be found for if you create content that relates to any search term that people are putting into the Google search bar. There is a lot of smoke and mirrors around SEO. Technical SEO, people will try and find technical failings on your website that is letting you down, but actually quite often you're the best judge of this by having a look on Google and seeing where you lie in the results page. So certainly by including search terms on your website, such as funeral services Exeter, or funeral director Sunderland, or direct cremation in Brighton, these are all what we would term search terms or keywords. They will improve your ranking in Google if you include these keywords throughout your website. Also, as far as SEO is concerned, we want to make sure that your website is mobile friendly. Obviously, it's vital these days. At least 50%, and I would think probably far more now, visitors to your website will be doing so on a mobile device. So your website needs to be search engine friendly, and it also needs to load quickly. And one of the things that you need to make sure is whoever's putting content on your website, whether you're putting content on yourself or whether that's the content that your web developer has put on, the images need to be optimized for speed. That is to say that you don't want any graphics or images on your website which are heavy, you know, big file sizes. We need nice, light, optimized images which load quickly and don't slow your website down. And that really is one of the main factors in slowing any website down, is images which have file sizes which are too big. It's also great if you can get some good quality backlinks onto your website, as opposed to poor quality backlinks, which people will try and perhaps sell you. It's more useful and more effective to have a lower number of good quality backlinks as opposed to a high number of poor quality backlinks. Backlinks to your website, funeral notices can can come under the banner of backlinks, because if you have funeral notices with much loved, they're not only on your website, they're also on a much loved on your much loved platform, which links back to your website. If you can get links back to your website from people with authority, such as one of the trade associations, these kind of people who are highly rated, who have good scores themselves with Google, then that will help your search engine optimization. The next thing that we have on our list, and the final of the 5 tips, is online advertising. Now, this is something that it's a really interesting subject, and I think that as far as we're concerned, the jury is still out on it. We don't have many customers who have a positive experience with online advertising, which, when I mention online advertising, I'm primarily talking about pay-per-click with Google, where you can buy a top position on the Google search page. I think we all know and recognize when we do a search, even if we're not experts in the field, we know that the listings that appear at the very top of the page are paid adverts as opposed to organic search results. And quite often people don't trust those, or they'll scroll past those and look for the organic results as being more valuable. So I would really be interested to get some feedback on this and hear from any people, any funeral directors who have experience of this, and what their thoughts on this are. I'll just check in with Kate here, because we were hoping to have a funeral director joining us at this point. Kate, do you know if Nicholas is available?
I don't.
It doesn't look like he is with us this morning, Jerry.
Right, okay. One of our customers who was hoping to join us this morning, he was in the office on his own, so it was dependent on what was happening in the office. So unfortunately, it doesn't look as though Nicholas has been able to join us. But it would really be interesting for everyone attending today, I think, to get some feedback from our audience on how they find this working. People, you can, with online advertising, Google Ads and pay-per-click, you can burn through money. You can really throw money at this. So it's something that I would say there's no harm in trying this. You can set a limit to your budget as to how much you spend on a monthly basis. The more you spend, the better chance you have of appearing at the top of the search results on a more regular basis, because you're bidding on a daily basis for a position in the search results, and that can work, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe there are better ways of getting traffic to your website. That's really, as far as I'm concerned, the jury is out, and I would really like to hear from some funeral directors. So at this point, we're joined again as well today by Kate Walker from Much Loved. So I'd like to ask Kate to take over now with some really interesting stuff that she has to talk about.
Thank you. Thank you for all those top tips. Actually, I think if we can summarise them, we can summarise them on our page there. You can see that it's just a case of sort of following those top tips, and we can actually make this slide available to you if you want to take a look at it later on. But before I kick off and sort of change the gender and accent, if there's any questions, or if anybody does have any experience of pay-per-click or anything like that, do pop something in the chat, and it would be great to hear from you. But I just want to move sort of sideways from that, because I know that often you can hear about other people maybe having success with online advertising, and maybe you've just seen what they've been doing with their and maybe you've seen other companies appearing at the top in that paid for advert, and thought, you know what, maybe I should be doing that too. And you do get that sense of FOMO, as we put on this slide, which is fear of missing out. But avoid that assumption that your website only exists for that sort of transactional intent. People are looking to your website to get a sense of who you are, and people have maybe seen your business in the street and they want to find out a bit more about you. And so it's not necessarily they're looking for that top ranking at all. And we are going to keep going on about the importance of content, I'm afraid. But once you understand that your website is actually a long-term marketing tool, then you can start to create content that establishes expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. Now, Jerry touched on it earlier, and we know that you get emailed and called by marketing agencies. They might offer you a free audit of your website even, and they'll probably make a list of recommendations. And if you've got the time and patience, you might feel compelled to do this. But there are 5 things that you might like to consider. So back to some more top tips. The company that you're calling or emailing you are cold calling you, and they are touting for your business rather than genuine concern. They don't really care about your website. What they care about is getting your business. And think about what knowledge and experience they may have of your industry. Are they just looking for a generic fix? Are they looking for a one fix all for which they do across all industries? Or do they actually understand the way that you work? Do they understand the markets that you have? Maybe they might offer you a one-off quick fix for something that actually needs a longer term plan. So they'll just pop in and make a little adjustment, and it might be great for a week, but then long term, not quite a good solution. Also, you're probably going to have to give them access to your website. Maybe they might even ask if you've got a WordPress site, they might even ask for your WordPress details. And they could end up actually making your site worse rather than better. And consider whether you're already at the top of search engines, but trying to be convinced otherwise. A lot of these companies will tell you that your ranking is not so good. But actually, if you do the investigation and actually search, maybe get somebody else to search who's not using your device, get somebody who's not searched for you for that sort of thing before, and you'll probably find that you're actually already there. And it's also worth pointing out here that Google themselves receives the marketing emails. And so there's an item here that was put in the Google Search Center. I particularly like this bit in the middle that says, reserve the same skepticism for unsolicited email about search engines as you do for burn fat at night diet pills or requests to help transfer funds from deposed dictators. And I think that's absolutely spot on. So just think about what you're receiving and maybe just chuck it into your spam or delete it if it just seems like rubbish. So I'm going to tell you about how we can take Google's lead on ensuring that we have the right information on our websites. And I'm going to keep going back to content, I'm afraid. They have a set of rules that they've categorized into this colorful acronym to evaluate the quality of web pages and their content. So I'm going to break this down. Experience means that the content the content that you're creating needs to be created by somebody who's knowledgeable about the topic, i.e. you. For example, a medical article, if you're reading that, and you'd expect it to be written by a doctor or someone with medical training. Therefore, an article on direct cremation or church burials should be written by someone who's done lots of them, and someone who has expertise, knowledge, and is skilled on the topic. And then you must write for your human readers. Don't just write for search engines. Jerry mentioned earlier on about ensuring that you put in some of those keywords. Make sure that your content is valuable valuable and useful. So don't just stuff in a whole load of keywords. Actually make it something that you would like to read, and make it something that you would expect other people to be excited about and interested to read. And don't just solely focus on those specific keywords. And then you can build an authority, so that then once you've started to write some really interesting articles, some really nice content for your website, then you become what we call authoritative. You become a credible source, and your website should be recognized, will be recognized as a reliable source in that field. You might want to add a short bio section to your blog or page, which gives your qualifications and experience. So then other sites will want to link back to yours, because by consistently publishing high quality content, you earn mentions from other respected sites. And then you grow your reputation within the industry, which means that all the content that you write will build authority. The trustworthiness is all about the reliability and integrity of the content. The information that you write needs to be accurate, transparent, and honest. Websites should have clear contact information and should not give misleading or false information. In simple terms, when you search for something on Google, EEAT helps ensure that the results that you get are written by yourself who is knowledgeable, and that you are a credible source, and that the information you're providing is accurate and reliable, which then helps your visitors trust that what they're reading is true and is useful. And if you're keen to scrutinize your Google Analytics and Webmaster Reports, you'll have looked at your search results and most popular pages, and maybe pop in the chat what results you might get in these reports, so that we can share the pages with others, and just share what search terms you find are ranking particularly highly if you've done that. But because your website has a distinct advantage as a marketing tool when compared to more traditional forms of advertising, it means that it's much more interactive. Obviously, it is an interactive place. And then you can measure what people are looking for, so you can serve them that content and then gain that trust that I mentioned earlier. If you think about how much money was spent in days gone by on newspaper announcements and publications, and the effectiveness was guesswork, because you just didn't know whether what you were doing, whether your marketing strategy was actually getting any results. But now you can actually have measurable results by looking at your Google reports. Now, I've been banging on about Google quite a bit today, but it's not the only search engine out there. There are others actually, but in the UK it does seem to be the biggest. However, the principles that we're discussing today actually apply to all search engines. You've got Bing and Yahoo and DuckDuckGo lurking there, and but the principles that we're talking about will be the same whichever search engine is being used. So a word of warning: if you are scrutinizing your reports, it can be really time consuming, and your time is better placed doing what you do best. Also, it can become a bit obsessive, and the information can be misinterpreted, which leads me on to a bit of myth busting. So when you do find out from your Google reports that you've got lots of clicks, and perhaps people from all over the UK are visiting your website, they might just be running away the moment they get there. If they're not engaging with what they want, if they're not getting what on your site, then they'll simply move away and go elsewhere. And then your site doesn't seem so popular after all. So what you need to do is engage your visitors with thoughtful content, maintain a human connection, make sure you've got real people connecting with real people, and talk about the support that you provide to the families before and after the funeral. Talk about your engagement with the community. Tell your story about how involved you are with the local community. And it's not all about your website. Actually physically get involved with maybe sponsoring a local team or giving local talks. And that's what we call off the page content. So what you're doing is, if you get involved with the local community, then people will get to know your name. And when they are having a funeral, when they are when they need you, they will remember your name because you're part of that. And people always think about their local one. It's all about local community. And of course, your funeral announcement page is often the most visited, one of the most visited pages on your website. And if you're a much loved partner, create an announcement page for all the funerals that you do, giving you more content. And of course, the recent requirement for funeral directors to publish their costs on their website has caused mixed feelings around the industry. But it's actually a good thing to do if you want traffic to your site, because cost transparency builds trust. Most people searching for local funeral directors are also searching for prices and will enter that in their search engine. Just going back, so what we're saying is focus on your content. And I've said about engagement and writing content, and I understand that writing content can be hard. If you need to hire a content writer, then there are lots available, but they will probably come up with generic information. The person that knows your business best is you. What makes you the best at what you do? What makes you different? What are you doing better than any of the other funeral directors in the area? Write about it. Once you're found online, you must engage your visitors with thoughtful content. Maybe make your About Us page warm and inviting. The human connection is critical. People connect with people. Maybe hire a professional photographer. Bring your website and social media to life with some images. Talk about your community links. Again, talk about the support that you give to your local families. And again, funeral announcements. Number one, for attracting your community to visit your website. And of course, with the much loved funeral announcements pages, then you are keeping your visitors on your website rather than sending them off to a third-party website. So we can put our widgets on your website, and all that content is staying within there, which means that the visitors are hanging around for longer. They're not hopping on and jumping away again. And that's my bit done. So if you want any more advice, or if you want any more help, do give us a shout here today, or just give us an email on the address that you can see there, or give us a call if you want to know more about websites and that sort of thing. That's my bit done, Sally.
Brilliant. Well done. That was really interesting and informative. And even though I have looked at the slides before, I still felt like I learned lots this morning. So hopefully our audience would concur with that. There have been a couple of people have shared their experiences. I don't know if you can see the chat, Jerry. Daryl said he's moved away from PPC to concentrate on SEO optimization, as it was hard to quantify the benefit of PPC. Tom also said that he's run PPC for over 9 months, having a marketing company manage it for him, but decided to move away from this kind of advertising as we feel we're 10 years ahead of our time. Even through analysis, we haven't seen an increase in business. And
that's an interesting one to see that that you are checking the analysis, and you are actually checking those reports to see if it's made any difference. And also, I mean, it's footfall as well. You're just not seeing those people come through the door as a result of that advertising. So that's an interesting point. Thank you.
Yeah, and Sarah has shared with us that with Reach, they paid a lot of money, and they'd really promised. I had promised a good spend with PPC, and the reports they sent them were false. She called them out, and they've disappeared, and will not talk to her.
Yeah, that's really interesting feedback from Sarah, and it's interesting to see that she's now, because of that experience, she's convinced that organic content is the way to go.
Which we are firm believers of.
Yeah, you know, with organic content, and this is why we love it so much. It's there permanently, and you know, whereas with pay-per-click, the second you stop paying for it, that's it. It goes. You haven't banked anything really. In terms of visitors to your website or engagement.
Yeah, and the comments you made about people buying people, I mean, that's the same with kind of every industry, isn't it? You don't choose your hairdresser necessarily because they're brilliant at cutting hair. You choose them because you enjoy going as well. So it's I'm a firm believer in people by people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think and that's an interesting point about whether it's a funeral director or a hairdresser. Actually, any business, people, whatever business people are in, they like to think, oh, we're different, we're different from anyone else. And because, of course, every business does have their differences, but at the end of the day, we all like to engage with people, and that's the big common denominator.
Yeah. Excellent. So if there aren't any other questions, it's just down for me to say thank you very much for joining us this morning. Just a quick reminder that if you are a partner, then it will be available for you to watch back on the Funeral Director Support site within a couple of days. So please feel free to go there and watch it back or share it with colleagues if you think it might be valuable. But thank you very much, Jerry and Kate, for pulling your knowledge together and sharing it with us this morning. It was really useful, and I wish everyone a fabulous day, and hopefully you'll get a little bit of sunshine.